Okay, so we're going to begin shortly. There's just one or two waiting for a few other persons to get on board. Right. And let's get started in about 1 minute.
Everyone. Kimari, could you make me co-host, please?
Yes, I just did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night, everyone. My name is Natisha Lindsay, and I am your presenter for the night. And I'll be focusing on writing the article, which is part of section B in the expository pieces. So before I begin, I would like to ask, I'm sharing my screen, but I'm going to ask, have you ever written an article or have you read an article? Very much appreciate if you will respond. Have you ever written an article? Anybody? Tibari, could you open the mics for the response, please? Anybody wants to answer that? Have you ever written an article or read an article?
Yes, miss. I read a few articles.
All right, a few. How many would be a few? Just to find out where you are. How many would be a few?
Probably like three or two. Three or two.
All right, so that's good. So if you have read 2 or 3 articles, then I am going to assume that you would have noted some things about the article. What do you notice about articles? What do you know about articles?
They're very informative.
They're informative, good. What else do you know about articles? Apart from being informative. Go ahead.
Yes, miss.
Daniela?
They bring people different types of emotions.
All right, so they use language that can appeal to emotions. Okay. Anybody else? All right. So I like the response about articles being informative. So as I said earlier, an article is one of the expository pieces that you can find in section B of the English A paper 2. It is also a writing that you can find published in magazines, newspapers, your school publication, whether it is the newsletter or a school magazine. It's also something that is on online platforms. All right. Now, going to the point, it can be informative. Going to the point about making appeal to emotions, it can be persuasive, but you can also write articles on your own opinion. So there is nothing there to persuade anybody. You're not informing anybody, but you note something, a topical issue, and you have an opinion on that issue. So you share your opinion. So the aim of articles is to present facts or viewpoints on a particular issue or topic to a particular audience. All right. So why write articles? That's an important question. So articles are written to inform about events, issues, or topics. They are written to persuade readers to adopt a viewpoint or to take action. So if there is, say for instance, a situation in your school and you want to ask people to join in taking actions. So many times the action that people will take was probably a sit-in or a strike or not supporting something. So you might write an article asking people to share in that action. You also write articles to persuade. So you have a viewpoint, you have an opinion, and you want persons to accept your opinion, or you want persons to share in your opinion. So you can write the article. Because it's persuasive, it definitely means that you will have to implement those persuasive techniques. All right, and then articles are also there to entertain. So not just thinking about entertainment articles, but when you read articles and there is a little story, a little point made, a little sarcastic comment made that the writer wants persons to laugh at, the intent is to get persons, although the issue might be serious, they write it in such a way that persons can be entertained. And then, of course, articles raise awareness. There is something happening in your community, in your society, in your school, whatever, wherever, and you have the intent to make others aware of it, then you can write an article because your intention, the garbage has not been collected in your community for a while. You can write an article to speak about that because you want to draw the attention of the waste management organization to know that the garbage is not being collected. The juice, the buses, whatever it is, you can write whatever is happening, and you want to make the necessary organizations or people aware. You not only have to write a letter, but you can also write an article because you reach a wider audience than the person you're writing to in a letter. All right, so the format. If you have been attending the workshops for the past 2 weeks, you would have recognized that there is mention repeatedly about the format of Section B, and each expository piece in Section B has its own format. And at the end of the prompt, CSEC will say that you will be assessed on, and it tells you the format, how you do the format, the grammar, and such. So the format is important. Standard format for an article. So again, Section B is that section where almost all of the expository pieces must get a title. And so you need a title or a heading for your article. If you think about the newspaper, you'll recognize that every article published in the newspaper has a title. So that's the first thing. Then you can have a byline, and that's optional. But even though it's optional, in the exam, you can choose to write it. And the byline is your identification, your name. All right? So it's by Natisha Lindsay. It's by Kimari Richardson. It's by Daniel James. Whoever you are and you are writing it, you can write your name. In the public space, sometimes when people are writing articles, they use pseudonyms. So they don't use their real names. They will write another name. So they might say, oh, the heading that they say by John Brown. That's a made up name. But for your exam purpose, if you are going to write the byline, I think you can choose whether you write your real name or the makeup name. All right. And then the introduction. It has been stressed over the past few sessions of the importance of your introduction, because your introduction is what is going to get your reader to stick with your article. You have to capture the interest of your reader so that they want to continue reading. And so therefore, as you would have learned, you need a thesis statement and support in your introduction. Then you also need a hook, something to grab. Think of fishing. If you go fishing and you don't put if you have the hook and you don't put a bait on the hook, when you put it into the water, the fish is not going to come and bite. Biting means that the fish becomes interested in holding on to the line. And so that is what the hook does in your article, in your introduction. It allows the reader to want to hold on to continue reading. And then the body. Typically, CSEC would give an instruction that you should have 5 paragraphs: your introduction, your 3 points, and your conclusion. However, for an article can have more than the 3-point paragraph, because based on the prompt that CSEC would give to you, it therefore means that you'd have to address, or I
Can you check your
encourage
audio, Miss Lindsay?
address. You're not hearing me?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my apologies. Where was the last time you heard? What was the last thing you heard?
I've been hearing you.
Okay, all right, no problem. I reiterate just a little bit back. So I was saying that typically CSEC asks you to write a 5-point essay. The introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and your conclusion. However, with the article, you can, because an article will be more than 5 paragraphs, but you must ensure that you still have your introduction and your conclusion. However, if you look on the prompt, then you might see 4 or 5 different points being made. And based on what you would have learned, each point must be addressed in a new paragraph. So if the prompt has 4 points, it means that you will need to do 4 paragraphs to address each point. All right? So you would have your paragraphs, your body paragraph explaining the main points that you are trying to make to support your argument, whatever you are interested in. You can use your examples, you can input your statistics. And yesterday you were cautioned about putting in quotations in your writing. That is also true for the article. If you don't know, or you cannot quote or write the name of the person, it's best that you paraphrase rather than do quotation. And then your conclusion. Again, it has been stressed, your conclusion should never give you new points, but should be a summary of what you would have covered. You can include in your conclusion a call to action, you can include recommendations, and a pulling together of the points already made. All right. So what is the expectation of CSEC for you as students as you write your articles, if you are asked to write an article? So you are to give a clear, engaging title. You are to use formal or semi-formal tone, depending on the audience and the topic. And as I say, formal and semi-formal tone, I want you to recognize, students, that for the most point, your writing for your exam is formal. Therefore, when you are writing formally, except when you are including dialogue, you should not be using contractions. That is important. Students tend to write the couldn't and the shouldn't and the wouldn't and the isn't and all of those. Those are not expected in formal writing unless you are including quotations and in terms of dialogue. And please remember, you can, depending on your article, you can include dialogue. All right. So structure the article logically with clear paragraphs. The easiest way to find the structure of the article, check back your thesis statement. Look at the different points you would have placed first and address them accordingly. So whichever point you have first in the thesis statement, you write that in the first body paragraph. Second point, second body paragraph, and it continues. All right. And then use appropriate language and tone for the intended audience. Think about this. If you are speaking to your friends, do you speak to them in the same tone? as you would speak to your teachers or your principal or the pastor or an adult. So therefore, when you think of your audience, think of who you are writing for and write in that tone. Give the formality that is needed depending on who you're writing for. Finally, use your persuasive techniques. Remember, if it is an article and you want persons to support, then you need to give some techniques to convince them why you need to be supported. All right. So it says you can use your rhetorical questions. That is easy to put in because you just have to ask a question. You can appeal to language, to emotions, make the reader feel a part of the situation. How would you feel if this was happening to you? What would you do if this was happening to you? And then, of course, you can use statistics, you can use your facts, and you can use other persuasive techniques. All right? Then grammar, spelling, punctuation. Make sure that your sentences are correct. There are two parts to a sentence, the subject and the predicate. Everything follows. Everything after the subject is the predicate. Make sure that if there's a listing, then you have your comma. If you need to have an end mark, because end mark does not necessarily have to be full stop. So if you need to have a question, if it's a rhetorical question, you write a question sign. If you are making a statement to indicate a raise in your pitch or your tone, then you need to put that single exclamatory mark. Single exclamatory mark is a persuasive technique. All right. So you need to be cognizant of the things that you need to do and how you use them and punctuate accordingly. Don't have a sentence that is too long because it might not work. Ensure if you need to put the parenthetical commas in between, or if you need to put a full stop and restart another sentence, remember those things are important to the language of your writing, the expression. You don't want to sound as if you are running on to a point that has no end. And then please stay focused. I'm coming, Yanaya. Stay focused on the topic and avoid going off track. So don't ramble. Don't write about 50 different issues when CSEC only asks you to write about one thing. All right, go ahead. If you have a question, if anybody has a question, please ask at this point. Daniela, go ahead.
Yes, Miss, I have a question. My question is that when you're writing an article, it can be anything, right? But do CXC like ask a specific article to write, like a poem, a speech, a essay or so?
If they ask for, they give you a prompt as they would give to all other expository piece. If you look in the January 2025 English A paper 2, you will see that there was an article given. I have adapted that a little to present the article for you. So we'll go through something that is very similar to what was in the 2025 exam paper. All right. But they give you, just as with every other expository piece, they give you the prompt that you need to use. So you're not writing anything outside of what CSEC is directing you. The only thing that you might do outside is to find your supporting details to support the arguments that they gave to you.
Okay.
Anybody else with a question? You're welcome. Anybody else with a question? All right, so let's go. Here's the prompt. This is very familiar to the prompt that I was speaking about in the 2025 January paper 2, but I have made a little adaptation of it, so it's not the exact thing. And it says, the canteen management at Write Like a Boss conglomerate received a letter of complaint in which several issues were raised. 1, the high cost of goods. 2, the limited lunch offerings. 3, the long lines for cashing and receiving goods. 4, the inaccessibility of service during certain hours of the day. And 5, as poor customer service. As the staff representative, write an article to be published by the organization's newsletter. In this article, inform the staff of the issues brought to the awareness of canteen management. You must write in continuous prose. The write is missing from the screen. You will be assessed on whether you want format the article. We discussed formatting earlier. Select relevant and complete information. Organize and express the information and use appropriate grammar, sentence structure, vocabulary, spelling, and punctuation. And I tried to explain that just a few minutes ago. So I am going to ask you now, because the first thing that you need to do before you start writing is to understand the prompt. Go ahead, Lodgeman. Lodgeman, your hand is raised. Any questions so far? All right. So the first thing that you have to do before you start writing is to understand the prompt. So what is it that you are asked to do in this article? Can somebody answer, please? What is it you're expected to do?
Miss, I would say to write an article to inform to inform about to make inform or provide details about the challenges that they're actually having and raise awareness about the whole situation that the person had listed up here, that the challenges that they were having.
So tell me the issues.
Well, I see where it said the high cost of goods, limited lunch offerings, long lines for cashing and receiving goods, the inaccessibility of service during certain hours of the day, poor customer service.
All right. So if you are looking at those points, and you are remembering what I said about CSEC asking you the 3 to 4, 2 to 3 body paragraphs, what is the first thing that you're going to note in this prompt? How many paragraphs are you looking to have?
So I would first highlight the article by stating challenges, stating like
No, man, listen to the question. Before. I'm coming to you, Mikhail. Listen to the question. Based on the prompt in front of you, how many body paragraphs would you be having if you're going to be dealing with each point in a paragraph?
Oh,
5 paragraphs, ma'am.
no,
5 paragraphs. 5 paragraphs. 5 body paragraphs. 5 body paragraphs because there are 5 points here. And then you would have your introduction, which is the 6th paragraph, and the conclusion, which would be the 7th paragraph. So your article, based on the prompt, would easily be a 7 paragraph. And remember, it was said even yesterday that your paragraph does not have to be 10, 20 sentences. Your paragraph can be 4, 3, 5 sentences.
that's what I was
You
about
just
to
need
ask
to
you.
ensure that you put in your topic sentence. You just need to put in your topic sentence and your support. So you do your point, in this case, you make your point, you give a support, and you can use a technique if you want in the paragraph, and you are good to go. All right. Have I
Okay.
answered your question so far?
Yes, miss.
All right. And who are you? Because remember, if you are writing, remember, in each of the expository pieces that we have gone through, you are expected to take on the persona of someone. In the case of this article, who are you?
I would say I would be one of the persons that are experiencing these challenges.
Member of staff,
Staff representative.
The person who shouted was so confident. Yes, it says right here, as a staff representative. So that is it. So when you are finished, remember, the byline, remember I spoke about byline. Byline means this part. Who are you? So you are the staff representative. So you can either write in the byline staff representative, or you can write, if you so inclined, write your name, and then under that you write staff representative. All right. So good. So I'm confident then. Mikhail, before I go forward, what is your question? I'm sorry, I almost missed you.
it's okay, Miss. Good night, Miss. My question
night.
is,
Mm.
with the information here, Miss, can you add in information of your own? For example, let's say
In
the high cost
Go
of
ahead.
goods. Could you like make up a exact amount of increase?
You
Or
can, but you don't want to do that for everything. You can use that as an example of why you're talking about the goods being costly,
all right, Miss. Thank you.
right? Daniela, you can go ahead.
Yes, Miss. My question is that when we're writing our article in paraphrase, um, we don't need to be like the producer, like boy, like we see the problem, we can like be in the problem and write it in it, like an example, a student.
I'm going to ask you to repeat your question because I don't think I got the question properly. So please repeat it so I can understand.
Okay, I was saying that if a person is facing an issue, like in one of these articles, they don't need to be the there's something that the girl said a while ago. We
Staff
can be like a
representative,
yes, exactly. And we can
you
be a
have to go.
student.
You can't be a student in a prompt like this because there's no space for students in this. This is a business. This is an organization. And so it says the canteen management are to write like a boss conglomerate received a letter of complaint in which several issues were raised. So the first thing that you should recognize is that the canteen got a letter of complaint. So the staff or somebody wrote a letter to the canteen management, the management of the canteen, and these were the things that they complain about. So that's the background. And then now, you as a staff member, the persons who represent the staff at meetings with the leaders of the organization, has been asked to write a letter so that it can be published in the organization's newsletter. The article, because the newsletter is going to be accessible to all members of staff, the article will now inform the staff of what was written to the canteen. That's the intent of the article, to inform the staff of what was written to the canteen on their behalf about the canteen. Understand? All right.
Yes,
Any
Miss.
other
Thank you
question?
for
Any
clarifying.
other question? So back to your question now, Danila. You can't write outside of the prompt. So you can't make up, and when I say write outside of the prompt, in a situation like this, say for instance, if you have the expository piece of a notice and you were going to write all of these, then yes, you could write the outline of the notice that was done yesterday. But in this instance, it's an article for publication. And so you have to follow the format of the article. And the format of the article tells you to do the introduction, raise the points, and then do your conclusion. No bullet points must be in the article because it says continuous prose, sentences and paragraphs. All right. But because the article is centering you on, I'm coming to you, Lakshmi, because the article is centering you on the organization rather than a school. And the reason you can't assume that it is a school is because it says the staff representative. All right. So it sounds more of an adult institution than just a school. And the word conglomerate means business. All right. Go ahead, Lashmi. Lashmi? Teacher?
Teacher at Lashmi Saran. I'm not seeing the full name.
Saranathan. Okay, Lashmi, you're here. Your mic is not open if you're speaking. We're not hearing you. All right, so let's go now to the article. So first off, recognize the different parts of the format, and we went through them. So the heading, you can make up a heading. High prices, long lines, and limited service. Canteen concerns under review. Then the byline, you can say by staff representative. You can also put by Teacher Lashmi Sarathan, staff representative. All right. Then it comes now your background, your thesis statement, and your hook. So the staff at Write Like a Boss conglomerate has voiced growing concerns over the state of our canteen services. That's the hook. A formal letter of complaint was recently submitted to canteen management, highlighting several persistent issues that affect our daily lunch experience and overall workplace satisfaction. No, because it says that a letter of complaint was written, you are now giving background as to why you're writing this article. Then you go finally. This article aims to inform staff members of the specific concerns raised, which include pricing. And you remember when you look at the title speaks about it, prices, long lines, limited service. So now it comes. This article aims to inform staff members of the specific concerns raised, which include pricing, meal availability, efficiency of service, and customer relations. Basically giving all of those information that you had in the title. And then now the first body paragraph, we're talking about the first thing that was listed, which is the high cost of goods. So it says, among the most pressing concern is the high cost of goods. Staff members have expressed frustration over the steep prices of snacks, beverages, and full meals, especially when compared to offerings at nearby establishments. So what you are essentially doing, I think earlier someone asked the question if you could give examples and prices and such. But though no monetary prices are given here, you will recognize that there's a comparison between prices at other establishments. All right. Many feel that the current pricing does not reflect fair value and strains their monthly budgets, particularly for those who rely on the canteen as their primary food source during working hours. Now, guess what is happening here? You have made your point. You're talking about high cost of goods. You have given a supporting statement to say why you think that it is high cost. The cost is high because it's too expensive compared to other establishments. And now you're giving an appeal to the emotions of people, to the finances of people by saying to them that it's not fair. We're feeling as if we're not being treated fairly because This is where we are going to get our food during the day and we can't afford it. All right? And then that's the first body paragraph. The second point, and if you have any question as I go through the body paragraphs, please raise your hand. Go ahead, Tiana.
Miss, should we always use connecting words to do the paragraph?
Because that is an important point that the presenters in past sessions have been stressing. Because you are connecting. You remember that phrase in the prompt that says continuous prose? Because you're connecting each point, whether it is in the summary, whether it is in the notice, whether it is in the email, because you're connecting each point, or the memo, because of the connection of each point, you need those transitive words and phrases to link them together so that your article, your summary, your memo, your notice, so that they are consistent, with a proper read. It's not disjointed, it's coherent, it flows. And that's why organization is important. And the connectives make the piece more organized. So in the first body paragraph, you spoke about the high cost of goods. Now in the second one, because you said here, among the most pressing concerns. So you are making the reader know that there are several concerns, but the most important one in your estimation is the high cost of goods. Then you come now, another major issue. So you are now pointing out to the reader that, remember I said previously that there are, quoting, most pressing concern. So you're now saying to the reader, listen, another major one of those pressing concerns that I spoke about in the first paragraph is the limited lunch offerings. And then you come now, employees have noted the lack of variety and consistency in meal options, with vegetarian and dietary friendly meals rarely available. This not only leaves some employees without suitable food choices, but also contributes to dissatisfaction and disengagement during lunch period. So the point you're making here is that the canteen is serving meals that not everyone can eat, because you might have vegetarians in the midst of the organization. You might have people who don't eat certain food. So if every day you're cooking rice and peas and chicken, and you have people who are vegetarian, they would want veggie chunks to be a part of the offering so that they too can eat. Because if you limit your lunch offering, one, persons are going to be, the word that we would say in Jamaica is clyde, which means it no longer tastes nice because you have overeaten the same thing repeatedly. So you're tired. That's what it boils down to. Tired of that meal. All right. So rice and peas and chicken every day, they're saying that they would want something else. Give them stew peas without any meat. Give them vegetarian stew peas. Give them veggie chunks. Give them for the Trinidadian, give us chickpeas, something else that is protein that we can eat, because you are not catering to us if all we are getting is just rice and peas and chicken. So that's what the first sentence is saying, that we are not getting enough options to eat. The second is saying that these are the specific people within the organization that you are not catering for. And then the third sentence is saying, because we are not getting the food to suit the different dietary plans of people, then during the lunch hours, persons are dissatisfied and persons are uninterested in lunch. And basically that is why the canteen is not getting any support. Any question? All right, I'll move on. So that's the second body paragraph. The third point, obviously, is for the long lines for cashing and receiving of goods. So it says the long lines for cashing and receiving goods have also been a sore point. Now you notice that in this paragraph, the transition or the connection to the other paragraph is not at the beginning, but it is with the word also. So just as though there is an issue with the expenses being too high, just as though there is an issue with the limited offerings, there is also a problem with the long lines. So that's where the connective comes. They also connecting you to the other two paragraphs. So it says the long lines for cashing and receiving goods have also been a sore point. Staff have reported spending up to 20 minutes in line during peak hours, which cuts into their designated break time. This inefficiency discourages staff from using the canteen and adds unnecessary stress to the workday. So the first paragraph, first line, you're making the connection, putting in a point, but making a connection to the other two paragraphs. The second sentence, you're now saying the reason why persons are finding that the lines are too long. Because if you're staying in a line for 20 minutes and your lunch break is 45 minutes or an hour, it means that you have to cash and you have to eat before you can go back to work. And therefore you might be extending your lunch hour, which would bring you into problem with management, with your supervisors. So they are having a complaint. It is cutting out their time. So they're not getting enough time to eat their lunches. That's basically what they're saying. And they're saying because the lines are so long, and they are attributing these long lines to the inefficiency, meaning that the workers in the canteen are not moving quickly enough. So because of that, the staff, they are stressed. They can't be bothered because it makes no sense it makes no sense going to buy your food. And for those of you in Jamaica who would go to the KFC line, and you recognize that you might spend 2 hours in the KFC line to cash, but then it's 3 hours to collect because it's another, or you spend 20 minutes in the KFC line to cash, but an hour to collect. So that is what, and you become frustrated. So that is what the third body paragraph is speaking about, the long lines for not only cashing, but also to collect. All right, and it explains as said. Anybody has a question? All right, so the fourth body paragraph should direct you to the fourth point. But in this paragraph now, as with paragraphs 1 and 2, the transitive word or phrase is at the beginning. So it says, in addition, what it is saying is, in addition to the high costs, in addition to the limited lunch offering, in addition to the long lines, the inaccessibility of service during certain hours has become problematic. What they're complaining about now is that, listen, those 3 points, we found them very offensive, we found them irritating, but here is it too. When we want to buy from the canteen during no other hours apart from lunchtime, we cannot get access. Nobody's selling us at that time. Several departments, and you notice it doesn't speak about one department, it says several, to show that this is a major problem because many persons are experiencing this problem. So it says several departments have raised concerns that food service is unavailable before 11 a.m. and after 2 p.m. How comes this is problematic? Because oftentimes people will be hungry before 11 if they have left home and have not eaten breakfast. And then after 2 p.m., people are still going to be hungry because lunch work hour ends at 5. So they're there for another 3 hours. They might feel a little hungry and they can't get anything to eat because there's no selling at the canteen during those hours, making it difficult for those on alternative shift schedules or tight deadlines to access meals. And no, that last part tells you that the second paragraph tells you that there are several departments, several people experiencing this problem of inaccessibility of service during certain hours. And it also tells you why they find this to be a problem. Because at points in the day or during the day when they would be needing something to eat, there is no access. And then the final body paragraph, and you notice this connective now is at the beginning and it says finally. So finally meaning after the expensive high costs, after the limited offerings, after the long lines, after the inaccessibility, here is the last thing that we are having a problem with the canteen. So finally, the matter of poor customer service cannot be overlooked. Staff members have described experiences of impolite, responsive, dismissive attitudes, and a general lack of professionalism from some employees. Now, if you look at the first sentence in the paragraph, it gives you the connective, the transitional word. Then it is followed in the same sentence by the point that is being made. And then the support now, the example. So it says staff members, showing again that there are several persons who are experiencing this problem. And they list what they believe or they deem to be poor customer service. 1, impolite responses. 2, dismissive attitudes. 3, a general lack of professionalism. But notice, importantly, in the sentence, there is no generalization to say that all canteen employees are dismissive and impolite and unprofessional. It says some. So you don't make generalizations in your article. Avoid generalization. It's like you want to say, dogs are dangerous, or all dogs attack their owners. And you know that is not true. That's a general statement. And you don't use, so it's some dogs, or you can say if you have evidence to prove that it is a specific type of dog or pedigree of dog, then you can say that. But you wouldn't say all dogs, because all dogs are not aggressive to their owners. So that is what happened. And then it comes down to say such interactions contribute to a negative atmosphere and must be addressed as a matter of urgency. Now, this is a professional organization. And if you're going to say people are not being professional, then it becomes really a matter of urgency. So if you put all of those 6 paragraphs together, including the introduction, you're almost finished with an article. But then there's another thing that you need, and it's to put everything together, put it in perspective. And so you come in your conclusion. Canteen management, and notice that I did not say in conclusion. You can put in conclusion, but in this article, I chose not to put in conclusion because it is the final paragraph. And so the marker, and knowing that it is the final paragraph, will expect that it should be the conclusion, and will be expecting that you are going to close this article by reiterating some of the points that you would have made earlier in the other paragraphs, or you would have bring a recommendation or a call to action. So it says canteen management has acknowledged receipt of the letter and has promised to investigate the concerns. So remember, you were asked as a staff representative to write an article for the organization's newsletter outlining issues that were brought to the attention of the canteen management. So as a representative, you are saying to everybody, these are the things that we brought to the attention of the canteen, and the canteen has responded. This is the conclusion. The canteen has responded, they have acknowledged receipt, and they have promised to investigate the concerns. In the meantime, the Staff Welfare Committee will continue to monitor the situation and advocate for fair and efficient service. There is no new point here. They are just telling you that the action that they are going to make. If you were in the session yesterday or last night, you would have remembered that the conclusion can be a call to action. It can be a question, a rhetorical question to get the reader to think further, and a summarization of the points you would have made. You can do any of the three or all three together, a combination. So this is first a conclusion to say that those points that were raised were received and acknowledged. Then they're telling you in this that the committee is now making a call to action, because this is what they're going to do. And then it says all staff members are encouraged to continue providing feedback as we strive for a more accessible, affordable, and respectful dining experience. No, all staff members are encouraged to continue providing feedback. You are saying to the readers of the article who are members of the organization that they must do something. That's a call to action on their part. And their call to action is to continue to supply feedback. So what is expected, what the staff representative is saying now is that while we are monitoring the situation, we are asking you to let us know if you have seen any changes. So at the end of the day, the staff representative is expecting to hear that the lines have gotten shorter, that the goods are no longer so expensive, that the customer service behavior has improved, and also that they have added new offerings to the menu. Though everything here in the conclusion points to all of that. Any question? Are there any questions? I have come to the end of my presentation, and so I am asking if you have any questions now, because we have basically gone through what the article is. So now I need you to let me know if you need further support on what is expected, remembering that all the expository pieces in section B has its own format. Some are similar in some of the things, but each is peculiar to the expository piece. And that is the piece that is important, the format that is important for the article. The heading, the byline, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Yes, go ahead.
Excuse me, miss. Could you put the presentation back on the introduction, miss? I wasn't here for that.
You want the introduction? All right. So here's the introduction. in the introduction, there's a hook. All right. So the hook is the staff at Right Like a Boss Conglomerate has voiced growing concerns over the state of our canteen services. Okay. So there's a background because in the prompt, I'm going to go back to the prompt. In the prompt, it says the canteen management received a letter of complaint. So when you are going to the introduction, you want to give a background story. So if the January 2025 paper 2 asks for an article, but it also gave a prompt, I think, on let me pause here. I'll come back and share that paper. Give me a second.
So while Miss is checking on that paper for you, students, and you can show by raising your hands, or you can use a thumbs up. Do you feel more comfortable doing an article for your exams? Are you feeling in a more comfortable position if you were to be given an article next week, Monday? So you can show by using your thumbs up reaction how many of you feel comfortable with having to do an article. Okay, and while Miss is getting ready, I'm seeing those thumbs up. Okay, I'm seeing one reaction that is not as promising, not as encouraging. So I think we still have someone who's not very comfortable with the article, and we hope that by the time we're finished this evening, you're comfortable, but most of you who've responded, most persons. So those of you who've either sent the tears or the thumbs down, you can raise your hand to ask a question or to get clarity. Miss will ask if you have any other questions. So please, this is what the forum is for. Raise your hand and Miss would be able to give you some clarity. Back to you, Miss Lindsay.
Are you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So as I was explaining to you, this is the article that was presented in the January paper. Okay. And this is a situation similar to the situation that created for the exercise we just went to. So there is a scenario. The scenario there is that letter of complaint that was received by the canteen. In this case, it says, the president of the Students' Council at your school, Aaron Prasad, recently attended a session on interview tips for school leavers. The session was facilitated by Joan Sanchez, Career Guidance Officer in the Ministry of Education in your country. Mr. Sanchez shared the following tips to be used in preparing for an interview. And there are 7 to 8 tips here. Do your research about the company, review the job description carefully, be on time for the interview, greet the interviewer with a firm but friendly handshake, maintain proper eye contact with the interviewer, speak slowly and confidently, use standard English during the interview. At the end, thank the interviewer for considering you for the job. So that was the prompt. That's a situation that was given to you. Now, this is the task that you are asked to do. As president of the Student Council, the one that we went through, you are not president, you are staff representative. So as president of the Student Council, write an article to be placed in the school's magazine or newsletter. I'm coming to you, Tiana. In this article, you must inform the student body of the interview tips. So in this article, you are going to inform the students of all of these that I read earlier. Do your research about the company, review the job description, etc., etc. All right. And of course, you will always say you must write in continuous prose, and they'll tell you what you will be graded for. So before I go forward, go ahead, Tiana.
Okay, so for this example, like you have so much points. Can you use more than 1 point in one paragraph?
All right. So, and that's why I'm saying to you, depending on the prompt, you might not have the 2 to 3 paragraphs that would be typically be asked of you in an expository. But yes, your article, this article can be a longer article because of so many different points. If you are to use the standardization that each point should be discussed in a separate paragraph, then definitely you're going to have several paragraphs for this article. But this is what is important. When you make your point, then you can give an example. So in this situation, your paragraphs might not be very long. So if you say something like, firstly, Mr. Sanchez shared that the interviewee should do his or her research about the company, full stop. That is, comma, whichever organization you intend to apply to, make sure that you access information about that organization with the expectation that you might be asked questions about the organization. For example, and you can give an example. And then now, for an example, you put your comma, open quotation, and you put, in what year was the company established? Question sign, close quotation. Secondly, Mr. San, it was also shared, or secondly, it was shared, or this, you understand? Review, you are the employee or the potential employee is expected to review the job description carefully. Full stop. This advice is important because if you go to a job and you are not competent, it makes no sense showing up for the interview. Or if you are not comfortable with something about the organization or something that is you are expected to do, it makes no, you understand what I'm saying to you? You develop your points with an example or an explanation or something. Is that clear? Did that answer your question? Go ahead, Daniela.
Yes,
Go
miss.
ahead.
Yeah, the example that you said a while ago. So you're saying when we're starting our article, we can use an example in it to represent our topic.
If you can use your article, your example to do your topic, I am going to do, all right, give me 1 second and let me share something else, okay?
Okay.
Teachers, could you just give me a second? Please let me
So,
search.
yes, Miss Lindsay, go right ahead. And while you're doing that, participants, students, you can type your questions in the chat. And you can also let us know if there are any other areas of the CSEC English A Paper 2 that you still need clarity on. We will be doing other sessions this week. Tomorrow, we're going back to narrative writing with a specific emphasis on character development, interesting narrative hooks, and literary devices. We will continue with expository writing on Thursday. Thursday, we're supposed to be looking at Mr. Sams. What are we looking at on Thursday? I'm just double checking. Thursday, we are doing report writing and memos. And on Friday, we're going to, okay, right, Wednesday, statistical report. Tomorrow, Wednesday, statistical report. Thursday, we're going to look at report writing and memos. And on Friday, we'll go back to narrative writing. But let us know if there are any other areas on the exam that, or any other questions that you would have. Right, so someone said memo, and we are doing memo this week. So make sure that you are there, you're ready on Thursday, 7 p.m. Jamaica time, 8 p.m. Trinidad and Tobago time. We're doing memo. All right. Argumentative, that was yesterday, but I can send the link for argumentative. Let's see if we can send that for you. We would look for that and see if we can send it for you. That was last night. It's available on YouTube from Jessica Ballou. All right, we would look for that. Yes, there was yesterday. Narrative writing and summary writing. We did those last week. The recordings, we have to edit those because we use a different format and we need to send those out to you. But we are touching on narrative writing again on Friday. That's the stories, yes. The summary writing, we conducted sessions for those already. I'm not sure if we will be able to have another session for the summary, but we can direct you to other resources that you can use for summary writing. So what I would do is, I'm looking for the session from yesterday. We had a very good session with Mr. Basarali and Ms. Ramtahal. Right, I found it. So I'm going to put this session on persuasive writing in the chat. It's YouTube. If you do Write Like a Boss, you can find it there too. Write Like a Boss Series 2025. And I'll put that there for you, meeting group chat. So the Write Like a Boss, the link is in the chat for the session yesterday. Now, the person asking about the letter of complaint, the letter of complaint, you're using the same format as the formal letter. I think we had, we did formal letter last week as well, but you will edit it to include what it is you're complaining about, what is the nature of the complaint, and what type of solution you would like the company, the organization, the offending party to be able to do, right? The report is we are doing report writing on Thursday. Report writing will be on Thursday. You're looking for Write Like a Boss series, and I've sent the link, Write Like a Boss. Click on that link, that's the YouTube, and you'll get the session from yesterday. All right. The entire process that we're engaged in is to be able to give students an opportunity to have some assistance as you prepare for your exams, prior to the exams, so that you can also ask questions and get some feedback. All right, Miss Lindsay?
Thank you so very much. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are here.
I am on online live. So if you see movements on the screen, that's because I am actually on an article published by the Gleaner, and this is, as you can see, April 22nd, 2025. All right. So remember, we spoke about the different parts of the article. So here, balancing cyberbullying and free speech in Jamaica would be the heading, the title. Then this by Janelle U1 would be the byline. All right. And of course, there's a date there. And so we go now to the first part. This in bold is the part of the introduction. And I'm not going to read the entire article. I am just showing you some of the how the article would look. This is what an article would look like if it was printed. All right. Take out all of the different pictorials and just imagine it on a page in a newsletter or in the newspaper. So it says Jamaica's primary defense against cyberbullying is the Cyber Crimes Act of 2015, which criminalizes malicious communication via electronic means targeting acts like sending, threatening or obscene messages with intent. Now, that is a good hook. Notice that even though this sentence, it's an extended sentence, it is highlighted, it's separate, but it does not mean that you have to separate it from the second. And so it starts, a 2018 conviction set a precedent. So that 2018 conviction, referencing that, is a part of statistics. So that's also another hook that is being used there. And so it goes, a man was prosecuted, and they're explaining what it was. A man was prosecuted for sending threatening WhatsApp messages and explicit images to a woman, one of the act's first successful cases. The ruling was a clarion call. Online abuse could face real world consequences. So you are going to now recognize in your article, with the use of malicious communication in quotation marks, you are going to expect the expectation that somewhere in the article, there's going to be an explanation of what malicious communication means. And it comes down here. A man was prosecuted for sending threatening WhatsApp messages. That is malicious communication. All right. So it goes further. Yet the act's reach is limited. It addresses over but falters with cyberbullying. So if you were writing as a student, notice that it talks about malicious communication. It also speaks about overt malice or a subtle cyberbullying. You'll be explaining, and notice that as the writer writes, he's explaining these terms. I said to you that you could put quotation in your article. If you look here, the law is geared towards clear-cut violations, says Odine Williams, an attorney and former legal officer at the Jamaica's Ministry of National Security. Now, this is a quotation. This is a quotation from someone. All right? Sorry about that. So this is a quotation from Odine Williams, and it is nicely punctuated, open quotation, the comma at the end of the quotation, close quotation, and the name of the person. There's a quotation mark, there's a comma beside the person's name to explain further, expand further on who the person who has been quoted really is. All right? And then the quotation continues. But much of cyberbullying is slippery, devastating, yet not always prosecutable. And here it doesn't name her again because she was already named in the preceding sentence. But now it says she said. All right? I am pointing these things out to you because writing is unique to your own style. So whereas CSEC will say to you that they're marking you on formatting, they're marking you on punctuation and grammar and sentence structure and all of those things, you would note that there's nothing that says that they're marking you on style, because everyone's style is different. And that is what is important. Every style is different. People write at in their own style, and that is why we can all be writing on the same article, yet it will be different. That is the important thing. So all of you will get the same prompt, but how you put the prompt together will be different. And I'm going to point it out. Notice here, you will be marked on the format, you'll be marked on the selecting of relevant and complete information, organize and express that information, and all the other things. But there's nothing to say style, because you all will get the same prompt, but write it differently. So in this instance, this person chose to include dialogue in his article. I wrote my article, I didn't choose to put dialogue because they say that they want it in a certain way. So they want it in the continuous prose, so I give it in a continuous prose without giving any, because there was nothing there to quote. So be guided by the prompt that you are given. That is important. Are there any other questions? Are there any other concerns about article writing? And I would advise or recommend that you, between now and the exam time, one person said earlier that she has read at least 2 articles. I would recommend that you go and you read an article, see what articles look like. If you can access a physical newspaper, it will be good for you to see what it looks like. If you can't access a physical newspaper, go online as I just did and look at the article. Take out all of the pictorials and such, and look at the structure of the article, what is expected of you. You notice that when I wrote the article, I did not put the date under the byline, but on the online public, because they want to know, because it's online, and it shows the date that the article was published. There's a date under the byline. If you are going into the exam and you decide that, okay, the exam is May 5th, and you are going to write May 5th, 2025 under your byline, CXC is not going to take away your marks, because the simple fact is articles will have the date of publication. Do you understand?
Yes, miss. You're saying that if we put the date under the article under our bio line, you won't take away any mark?
No, they will definitely not take away any marks. Because what you would essentially be doing is showing CXC that you know what the format of an article looks like. Because normally it does not become an article until it is published. So the publication date will automatically be placed under the byline to show when it is published. So anybody is going to access the information or the article in the online space can access it by the date of publication. So you would not lose any mark if you put the day of your exam under your byline.
Okay.
All right. Any other question?
We have a question in YouTube from YouTube. One participant asks, excuse miss, can you show or re-explain what the byline is and what it contains, please? I didn't write it in time.
No problem. I will do so. Let me share back the screen for that. All right, let me share back the screen for that. Just give me a second, please. So the byline is actually your name or the writer's name. Or if you want to go by your, position, then you can do so. Let me just get that format in. All right, so here you go. So this is the byline, the name of the writer, and it's optional, as I said. So if you don't want to put your name there, as we said earlier when discussing, you could put staff representative because that was a position. So you say by staff representative or by whatever. And if you notice in the prompt, no name is given to the staff representative. That means you can take any name you want. You can write any name you want. You can write your real name, or you can use a pseudonym, meaning you write a makeup name. Nothing is wrong with that. That's what the byline is. It's optional, as said, but you can, it is good to include it just for your marker to recognize that yes, this student really knows the format of the article and is not just guessing the format. So under that byline, you can know, there's the byline. So under that byline, you could know probably, let me see if I can fix this to do something. So I could do something like this. I'm going to change it in your present. So I can say by Natisha Lindsay, staff representative. So I'm giving my name and I'm giving my role in the organization. I can also do something like we see, and that is I can also do that. CSEC will not take away a mark from you for that. So you have given the publication date. So therefore, this newsletter, because what you are indicating is that this newsletter for the organization is actually an online newsletter. So when the staff members want to access this article and they don't remember the title of the article, they can go into the company's website where they do their publication and put in the date. And if they place the date in, everything that was done that the organization uploaded on that particular date will come up, including the article. Okay, so you can do that. Does that answer the question for the YouTuber? I hope it did. All right, so any other question?
They said thank you very much.
You are most welcome. Any other question? Anybody has, has your confidence grown a little bit more? Yes, Amelia, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good
So
evening,
we write
Amelia.
the title or the headline, we write the byline.
Repeat.
So we write the title and the headline. We write the byline underneath. So we write we name, the management and the date, right?
All right, so let me see. We are now going into a kind of a working part of the presentation. So let's create it together. All right. So I'm going to insert a slide. Hopefully, let me move out of slideshow and go into home and insert a slide. Where would I insert the slide now? All right, let me insert a slide here, and I'm inserting a slide. So the purpose of this slide now is to just deal with the byline and the title. All right, so that's the only thing that I'm going to do. So what will happen is this is your article. This is what your article, this is what it would look like. This is what it would look like, Amelia. So I am pasting that's your title, and then I'm pasting this. So that's my title. And this is my byline. So what I can do, because remember, when you go into the newspaper, they normally like to make your titles a little bit big so that it catches the eye. All right. And then I don't need any space really. So that's what it would look like. And then I continue now. With my introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. So that's what we would have. Fair? Does that explain further for those persons who want to have an idea of the look of the format?
Yes, Miss. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome. So I'll ask once more, has your confidence grown a little bit more? Is it more than what it was, say, 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago?
Yes.
I could put, very good, thank you. I could put all of these paragraphs together, but because this is a slideshow, or it's a, with PowerPoint presentations, you can't put too many things on the slides because it becomes too small. And so that is why I have them in pieces, different body paragraphs. But if you should just take all of the different slides and put them in a Word document, then you will see the full article. All right. I hope that this session has been educative and it has reinforced some of the points that you had, some of the concerns, some of the issues, and you will be comfortable going into the exam if you should see the article as the question for the English A paper 2 section B prompts. Best of luck to you during your exam. I'm wishing, as Write Like a Boss series states, I'm wishing you all the grade 1. And it was really a pleasure being with you this afternoon. Continue to join the rest of the series. And I know for a fact that you will do well. Remember, it is all about having a working knowledge. I tell my students all the time, make sure you have a working knowledge. So if you are going to go into paper, the first section, have a working knowledge of what is expected of you in the summary. If you're going to do section B, have a working knowledge of all the different pieces of exposition that are available that CSEC will test you on. So you need the notice, you need the email, you need the memorandum, you need the article, you need the letter to the editor, all of the different letters of complaint, all of the different pieces of exposition. Remember, exposition is to inform, exposition is to persuade, exposition is to entertain, exposition is to make persons aware. So use prompts as a guide. Whatever is asked of you in the prompt, make sure that you cover it. Sometimes the prompt will not have all information, but if you see that the information is relevant to, completing what CSEC has asked, you are free to make it up. In this prompt, there was no name given to the writer of the article, but on your screen, you're seeing a name on the article, right? The position was given, but there was no name. And no, I chose to put a name. CSEC will not reprimand you for that. It only shows that you are aware of what the format is, and the format is something that you are tested on. Always remember, make sure you properly punctuate, make sure that your sentences are grammatically correct, the structures are correct, make sure that your spelling is correct, and just edit your work. Be careful, do not rush, but do not stay too long on any section of the paper. The part that you find most difficult, I am recommending that you start with that section first, get it out of the way, and then go to the others. Please do not, and I'm asking you, do not leave out any section of the paper as much as possible, because any section you leave out, it means that you are going to lose the full marks for that section. It is best for you to attempt all sections. Complete all, but if you can't complete all, attempt all, so that you can be awarded marks for all. All right, thank you for having me. And I think I have come to the end of the session, and I'm going to turn over to Kimmery for her to continue with closing off.
Thank you very much, Miss. Thank you very much, participants. Can we give Miss a round of applause in the reaction or in your comment section? We want to thank her for taking us through the process of writing the article. We've just sent you a poll in Zoom. Participants in YouTube had already done their poll. There's a poll in YouTube, and this is a similar poll for you in Zoom, indicating, and it's all part of data collection for us as well, so that we'll be able to better assist you and to be able to determine how impactful sessions are for students, again, because we really want to be able to assist as many students as possible and to give you options and the opportunity before your exam to have clarity, have questions answered. So we have the poll, and we're asking you to complete it for us before you leave. Again, tomorrow, Wednesday evening, and I'm checking back the schedule. We are going to have tomorrow evening. I will be doing statistical report writing with you tomorrow. On Thursday, we have Ms. Jem Tadio, who would be doing report writing and memos. And then I'm back on Friday for narrative writing. All sessions begin at 7 p.m. Jamaica time or 8 p.m. Trinidad and Tobago time. Let your friends know this is happening. Invite them and let them join the sessions and be able to get some assistance. Yes, I see a hand up from, not seeing the name. Yes, go ahead. Someone from Bishop, yes.
Yes, miss. Would the same link be used, or would a new link be sent out?
We're keeping the same links. We're trying to
Okay,
keep
miss,
the
thank
same
you.
links this week. Yes. So let your friends know this is happening. Also, let them know that we put measures in place to remove anyone who may try to be disruptive or distracting, so that they will not come on the platforms, either of the platforms, to distract from what it is we're doing here. We want to ensure that the platforms provide opportunities for you to have clarity and build your knowledge as you revise for your exams. Once again, we want to thank all of you. We thank Ms. Lindsay for presenting. We thank all of the teachers who have joined us on the platform this evening. And in particular, we very, very appreciative of all of the students, and I'm sending a red heart. We're appreciative of all of the students who've taken the time to be here. Our hope is that you get your grade 1. We want you to get your grade 1. This is what we're working towards. But we can do all that we're doing on the platform. You still have to study. You still have to practice. So please ensure that you're doing that, and you would make yourself proud. You'd make your family proud. You'd make your teachers in your school proud. So good night again, one and all. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow evening as we continue with our Write Like a Boss series for CSEC English A. Good evening, everyone.